that somebody has him and wants ransom.
Well, that was the original call the family made in order to get law enforcement involved. I believe it was Dylan's father who called the sheriff's office and said, this is according to the police too, that they got a call to go to Elko, Nevada, that someone was being held hostage. And, you know, in the beginning, there were some thoughts that there was this man that Dylan met in the middle of nowhere who asked him for a ride, who has a suspicious criminal background. There was some finger pointing that maybe this guy might know something, but Candace has actually spoken with this man. He's in custody in Utah in a facility, and they believe that he probably doesn't have anything to do with Dylan's disappearance. But fingers were pointed at him, from the beginning. Sounds like that's not so much anymore.
Okay, what can you tell me about the ransom call to Candace?
It was not a ransom call. This is what happened. One of the local citizens of Montello called me on Tuesday, the second day in the search, and said they are holding Dylan hostage and basically he might still be alive or not. And they give us a specific location. And so that is when Justin called. So I talked to this guy 3 times. So we all hauled butt into Montello, not Elko. It was in Montello. So Justin calls Utah detectives, and they say, well, that's in Nevada. It's not us. You need to call Nevada. So Justin told him, if you don't get somebody out here, I'm going to take it into my own hands. So detective from Utah called Nevada. I called 911 into Elko. I tell them what's going on. So Elko sends out 6 deputies. We're furious. We're frustrated. We think our son's right down the block. These local people are telling us they got him. They chasing this other guy. They got him. They're holding him hostage. They're beating him. They're telling us all this stuff. But what Elko did not know when I called in is that my son was missing because Utah never told them.
So let me understand, Ms. Cooley, there was no ransom call.
Correct.
Then where did that even come from?
I have no clue. If you go back through all my interviews, I never said that. I said we got a call saying Dylan was being held hostage.
Right. Who told you that?
Ransom has never came out of that.
That your son is being held.
The guy's name is Kurt. Kurt calls me. Kurt did work for Dylan, so we can clarify this and people can understand that is his name. Kurt called me and said, Chase and this other guy have Dylan
in
this house.
Who is Chase?
Chase is the guy that Dylan had picked up in the middle of the desert from Wednesday the 25th that we had as a person of interest. The one that is now in the Utah jail on unrelated charges.
Okay, got it. So Kurt tells you Chase and
this other gentleman have Dylan. They're holding him hostage in this other gentleman's house. He may or may not be alive. They're beating him. He's all over the board. But at this point, we're still looking for Chase actively to find him. So I hang up the phone with Kurt. He calls me back 10 minutes later. He goes through it again. He's like, he may be at this house or he may be at this house, but we're watching this house and we know they have Dylan. We know they have Dylan. That's what I'm told. So Justin and I get on the phone with them. We get the same story. They got Dylan, they took Dylan. So that's when we hauled butt into Montello, and that's when the 911 call came in to Elko that I said, they have my son, he's being held hostage, we need somebody out there now. So when they did send, like I said, they sent 6 people. But when they got there and they went to this other person's house, Chase found the other person, the other gentleman, allowed them to search the vehicles, the house, the property, the sheds, absolutely everything. There was nothing. Kurt lied to us.
Why?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Okay, stop right there. Right there. Deputy Chief, Manatee County Search and Rescue, John Elwood, right there. That's the problem. Why would you call a missing kid's mom and say, your son's being held over here when he's not? Right there. Why? That's who we need to key in on.
The question I would ask is, when Candace received this phone call, was it before the news story about her son's disappearance or after?
What about it, Candace? Before or after?
It was before.
It was before. What's your point, John Elwood?
Then that, to me, would add more credence to the claim that Dylan's being held hostage.
But am I in crazy land? Because they went to the location and he was not being held hostage there. There's no credence to the hostage situation because that's not true. Kirk Nurmi with me, high-profile lawyer Kirk, right there. The acquaintance, Kirk, who had worked for Dylan Rounds, calls in with this information. I mean, let's get real, Kirk. We've got to look at his circle of acquaintances. There on his farm at 6:51 a.m., that's where he calls his grandma. He's not seen or heard from since. This has got to be someone within his circle. The phone pings there. Wasn't the phone found there, Nate Eaton?
They have not found his phone or his wallet.
No phone, no wallet. Thank you for telling me that. His boots are not far away. The phone pings from there. Somebody took him from there.